If I knew now what I knew back... No. If I knew back then what I knew... Welcome back to the channel. I'm RJ Ronquillo. If you're new here, thanks for clicking in and joining me. So I've been playing guitar for quite a while now. I think I started when I was 9 years old, and I'm years old right now. And I've learned quite a bit along the way, and I'm still learning stuff every day. But there's definitely some things that I wish I would have known back then that I know now. And for you beginners out there, maybe some of these tips will help you guys out. So here's 5 things I wish I knew then that I know now in terms of being a guitar player. Number 1, a properly set up guitar makes a huge difference. Hey, Untouchables. So when I first started playing guitar, I borrowed my dad's electric guitar. It was a Japanese-made Kingston brand, double cutaway F-holes. It was a semi-hollow body, and it had a vibrato. And it wasn't the most expensive guitar, and it wasn't exactly the nicest playing guitar. I remember the action was a little bit high. I'm sure the neck was bowed. Me and my dad knew nothing about guitar repair or anything, so we didn't know how to set it up or make it play well. And none of my teachers or anyone at the music stores really paid any attention. They just saw me struggling, trying to fret my first notes. But a year after that, I got my first real guitar, which is a Fender Japanese Strat, which I still have. Yeah, this is my first real guitar, which is an 86 Japanese Strat. I changed the pickups and I changed the bridge, but the neck is the same, the body's the same. And immediately it felt better. I was able to play better. I wasn't struggling. It played great. It put me in a good mood. And I started enjoying playing guitar more. So if you're just starting out and you're learning on a guitar that's not playing that great, and you feel like you're struggling and you're not having a good time playing, it might just be that you need the guitar set up. Even like a cheap Squier guitar that's been set up properly plays like butter. Poor playing guitars can kind of leave you frustrated and kind of cause you to give up. So before you give up or go out and buy a more expensive guitar, try getting your guitar set up. Bring it to your local music store and ask them to set it up. You know, they'll put on a fresh new pack of strings, adjusting anything in the neck that needs to be adjusted, adjusting the action on your bridge, making the strings a little bit lower if you want it lower, or a little bit higher if it's buzzing, maybe fixing something with the nut. Number 2, I wish someone would have told me that it's okay to experiment with your string gauge and your pick gauges. When I started out, my teacher gave me my first picks and he said, "Here, Fender Heavies. Just play with these." I probably stuck with those basic Fender Heavies, gosh, probably into college. I didn't really get into experimenting with other picks like Dunlop Jazz 3s or like different sized picks or different shaped picks like this or different thicknesses. I didn't really experiment with those until college or after college. It was just a habit I got into. I didn't realize that experimenting with different picks and strings could actually help your playing. For instance, when I was starting to learn how to play faster and play like shreddy stuff or Eric Johnson stuff, the Fender Heavy just wasn't cutting it. And when I switched to like a Dunlop Jazz 3, then it was kind of an aha moment. I'm like, okay, this is actually making picking faster easier because it was pointier, it was heavier, it was feeling better across the strings to play that fast stuff. I was more accurate.
Also, I use Dunlop Jazz 3 picks. They're the hardest picks that I've found, and they're the most pointed. And they're the hardest things I've found next to a rock. And other guitar picks that I've used literally started melting in my hand. I started bending around my thumb. So for my style of picking, and I think for good guitar picking, that you need a heavy pointed pick like a Dunlop Jazz 3.
Changing up your picks, changing up your strings, you might discover that they will help you play a little bit better, and maybe you'll enjoy playing guitar more. You never know. Look at that old Michael J. Fox commercial. Number 3, learning songs by ear and not just using tabs. So I started out like many beginners learning from tab books and like Guitar for the Practicing Musician magazine, you know, stuff like that. And that stuff was great to a point. I eventually learned how to transcribe on my own by ear. I remember sitting on the couch with my Walkman. You know, it wasn't a half-speed tape recorder or anything fancy like that. And I had a cassette of Santana, Black Magic Woman, and I was learning how to play the intro just by rewinding, playing, and kind of figuring it out on my own. I was so excited that I was able to learn it on my own without the help of any books or whatever. It's really gratifying to be able to do that, to use your ear, figure it out on your own. And it's super important for musicians to be able to do that. It trains your ear and it helps you learn and get comfortable with where the notes are on the fretboard. Not to say that tabs are a bad thing. I mean, they're obviously a valuable tool. Things to remember are that tabs can sometimes be inaccurate or totally wrong, depending on maybe you got it from some random website. It's possible that the transcription has some wrong notes or it's just incorrectly played. And also tabs might help you learn the notes and certain articulations. But what you're not going to get from a tab is learning the feel and the phrasing or attack of the way the notes are played by whoever was playing them. And by listening yourself to a phrase over and over again, you'll be able to grasp the actual feel of the lick or the phrase that you're trying to learn. Okay, number 4. I wish I would have known how to properly change strings. I don't think I was really taught how to change guitar strings maybe until high school. And even after that, I was never really satisfied with the way I had changed the strings. Really, I didn't learn how to change strings properly until maybe a couple years ago. I had some techs show me as a kid how to change strings, but they always turned out sloppy and I had all this excess string, and so I'm going to show you how I change the strings. It's obviously there's no right or wrong way. This is just the way I like to do it. The best way and the cleanest way I've found to wrap your string around the post is this. So once your string is through, so I've kind of got it pulled to tension, I'll measure out maybe 2 posts away, maybe less. Let's say like, what is that? 2 inches, a little less than 2 inches. And then I'll bring it back to the post. And then I will take the excess on this side and wrap it over like so, if I can. Yeah. And kind of pull this up and then start winding it. And that way, sorry, I don't have a string winder. But this way, you've got one wrap above the string end, and then the rest of the wraps below, and it kind of locks it in there really good. But once it's all wrapped up and you snip it off, it's super clean. But this type of thing works for all kinds of different guitars, whether it's 6 in a line or with slotted peg heads. It's kind of the same principle where you just cut maybe 2 or 3 posts down, snip it, and then slide it into the slot. And last on my list, number 5, I wish I knew how important rhythm guitar was. So like many of you, when I started playing guitar, I was really attracted to guitar solos. I loved Clapton and Vai and Hendrix. I wasn't really paying attention to their rhythm guitar playing. I was more interested in their leads and their solos. And I just figured, you know, rhythm guitar playing's easy. As long as you know the chords and you know how to kind of strum, then you're a rhythm guitar player. But obviously I learned later in life that being able to play rhythm guitar well is as important, if not more important, than being able to play solos. I can honestly say that none of the gigs or sessions that I've ever gotten were because I could play a ton of notes. I like to think I got hired mainly because of my personality. But being a solid rhythm player and being able to make the songs sound good is the most important thing. We all get caught up with having to learn licks and scales and modes and all that fast stuff. Don't forget how to play rhythm, you know. If you think your rhythm is lacking, practice with a metronome or a drum machine or some backing tracks. If you can, get together with a drummer and a bass player and just jam. You know, rhythm guitar is like a vast ocean. There's so much to know and so much that you can do. You can play single note rhythmic stuff, dyads, triads, full chords. different chord voicings, different chord inversions, you know, right hand stuff, left hand stuff, palm muting. Don't think it's just being able to play chords real good. Rhythm guitar playing may not be as easy as you think. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click that thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments. Share it with your friends, family, your friend that enjoys watching old MTV episodes of Headbangers Ball from the 1980s. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, gear demos, tutorials, tour vlogs, click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.